Hello! Here we are reaching quickly to the end of this Congress, the second edition of the International Aesthetic Masters. We go back to Europe to meet my friend from the Netherlands, Dr. Nguyen. Dr. Nguyen graduated in dentistry at the Rijksuniversity in Groningen in the Netherlands in 2011. After working as a general practitioner, he opened his own clinic and co-founded the Ardent Academy, an educational platform that focuses on creating a movement in contemporary dentistry. Known for creating the Game Changer concept, a series of seminars given by high-inspiring entrepreneurs and managers with the purpose of reinventing and elevating the management vision in dentistry. He defines his goal as to inspire, empower, and activate colleagues to chase their dreams, how unconventional it may seem. Currently, he is practicing in his clinic in the Netherlands and giving lectures internationally on brand identity, marketing, and management in the dentistry domain. He is currently a student at the prestigious SAE Institute in Amsterdam and is expected to graduate as a filmmaker and cinematographer late 2018. Nguyen will present the very interesting lecture, The Game Changer, how marketing is changing the face of contemporary dentistry. I'm sure this is one of the topics that dentists are interested in. See you soon.
Hello everybody, and thank you for joining in on this lecture. Welcome, first of all. Before I start, I just want to thank Joao and Rui for organizing this event once again in 2017. I remember learning about this event in 2015 and being just amazed by the level of commitment and teamwork and dedication that went into organizing all this. I was a participant actually in 2015, and looking at this edition and the speakers that you guys involved and the level of dedication that you put into this, it's amazing. A lot of these speakers have been inspirational to myself. They have been an inspiration to me. They have been, I consider them mentors. I couldn't imagine being a part of the team of the speakers. Thank you for this amazing opportunity, and thank you for organizing this once again. It's all about the sharing. For the next hour or so, I'm gonna try to demystify some concepts in marketing for you. Marketing is very, very big, okay? So it's impossible to cram everything into 60 minutes. Talk about every aspect of marketing, talk about social media, talk about viral, talk about the algorithms, talking about the concept of visual media. It's a lot of material. But I just try to condense what I've seen in contemporary dentistry today, and I'm gonna see if we can go on a trip of understanding some basic concepts together. So let's join me, and afterwards, if you have some questions or anything, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a way to get in touch with me. So, I was asked to speak about marketing in contemporary dentistry today, and the reason why I think this is interesting is when you go to certain social media like Facebook. You can see that the emergence of the internet, the emergence of social media has created a kind of niche in which people can just market themselves. Now, dentistry has never been a very sexy subject to market, but with social media and the internet, it has been very easy for everybody to produce content and distribute content. In the early days of marketing, when you produced content, you had to pay a lot of money to distribute content, either via mail, either via television, either via telephone. It was all a paid action. Nowadays, with social media and with the internet, you can distribute your content for free. So you can imagine that in the old days, where you had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get your product or your content across, nowadays it's super easy to create content and then to distribute it for free. And it has enabled a lot of colleagues in dentistry like us to become great influencers, to produce great content, to distribute the content for all of us to benefit. So I can imagine that marketing as a whole is kind of a big concept to grasp. And like I said before, I can imagine that you cannot grasp every single contact and every single concept, I meant to say, in marketing in just 60 minutes. We're not going to do that. What I'm going to do, again, is to take some concepts that you probably know already, put them in a context, and create new connections in your head so you can hopefully benefit from what I'm telling you and understand what is happening in the digital landscape today and make it work for you. So I would like to go with you on a journey from uncertainty to a new vision in maybe marketing your own content or your own product. And you know, there's a lot of way you can use marketing. You can use it to sell your treatment plan to the patient, or you can use it to make yourself known and brand yourself in the social media. So just take these concepts, what I'm telling you, take the stuff that's applicable to you and use them to your benefit. So let's define marketing, right? It's a big word. And it's actually even a dirty word for some people. Normally when I ask this in a room full of people, like let's say 200 people, and I ask them, who of you hate marketing? At least half of them raise their hand. And that's funny, because what they actually hate is not marketing per se. What they actually hate is bad advertisement. So I want to ask you to let go any preconception that you have on the word marketing. Drop every negative preconception you have about conversions, advertisements, selling stuff, and just start with a clean slate and just see marketing for what it is. Because if we look at the definition, and there are a lot of definitions, but if we look at the first definition of marketing, we can discern two different things. One is the act of buying or selling something in a market. The market is the one that buys. Or you can also see it as the total of activities involved in the transfer of goods from the producer or seller to the consumer or buyer, including advertising, shipping, storing, and selling. Now let's think about this. What it actually says is that marketing is everything from the conceptualization to the delivery of your product, good, or service. Let that sink in. Marketing is not just about selling the product. It's also about conceptualizing the product. So marketing is everything from conceptualization to distribution and delivery. And let me even rephrase. It's even what happens after delivery and after sales. It's the whole cycle of a customer interacting with your brand, buying your product or your service, and what happens after that. Forget about just the selling. Marketing is all about products, either physical products that you sell. You're always trying to sell something, whether it's products, services, or experiences. And nowadays, marketing always has a bunch of buzzwords. This last year, it was experiences. Everything has to be an experience. 2 years ago, storytelling was the big buzzword. We're going to talk about that later also. But more nowadays, more and more and more, consumers, customers, patients are buying a service or a product when there's a good experience built around it. And that's something as dentists, something we really have to think about. Because per definition, the services that we offer, nobody wants them. Nobody wants pain. Nobody wants treatments. And the experiences in our offices up until a few years back were never pleasurable. Always ugly experiences. But what if we could take the ugly experiences that our patients have always endured and turn that into good experiences? Imagine a world of dentistry where the experiences are good. We're going to see how you can shape that for your own office. And nowadays, we don't buy stuff because it's the best. We don't buy stuff, we don't convert, we don't buy products or services because it's the best product. We also consume because the brand is offering us a very good experience. So if you have two products just as good, brand A offers you normal experiences, and brand B offers you the same product, but with a superior experience, chances are you're going to convert for this one. You're going to buy this one. So how can we shape experiences in our clinics to be pleasurable or desirable for our patients? So if we talk about all the stuff that we offer, products, they fulfill needs. Products like iPhones, they fulfill needs. Services, they fulfill needs. But the sweet stuff is that experiences fulfill desires. And we're going to talk about this later on, how we can turn dentistry into something that people actually desire and want. Because like I said before, per se, dentistry is an ugly business. So if we talk about just strict marketing and buying something, let's think of our dentistry as a product. So let's see of our dentistry as a product or a service. So when are you gonna buy something? When are you gonna want something? When are you gonna convert? When are you gonna buy this iPhone? Well, it has everything to do with value. And there's two types of value that we can talk about. One is the true value of something, and that's nothing more than the money it takes to make something. I'm just going to use this one again because it's so easy. This iPhone, I believe it's not more than 150 euro to make, right? That's the true value of this iPhone. The labor, the material, the marketing, everything costs, all the costs calculated into one. This little machine is worth 150 euro. That's the true value of the iPhone. The second kind of value that we have is the perceived value. And this is the interesting thing. The perceived value is the value that I project or perceive on this. You cannot explain perceived value in monetary value. It's the way the product makes me feel. It's the way the product relates to me. It's the way I identify with the product. So it's very, very simple. If you can remember something, just remember this one thing. Perceived value versus true value. Remember, this is what the true value of this machine is 150 euro. But if the perceived value for me is higher than 150 euro, I'm gonna buy it. How much depends on how I perceive the value of this. How much benefits am I gonna get from this machine? So if the marketing is good enough, if the communication is good enough to convince me that my perceived value is higher than the true value, I'm gonna convert, I'm gonna buy. And I'm gonna pay 800 euro, 900 euro, or 1,000 euro with the iPhone 10 to buy this. So let's state this again. The true value is the worth of the product, of making the physical product. Perceived value is how much money I want to spend to buy the product for myself. The better the marketing, the better the communication, the higher the perceived value is going to be. If the perceived value exceeds the true value, I will buy, I will convert, you will sell. So how does this translate to us as dentists? Let's say you get a patient, and we have this every day. There's a patient who comes to your office, and let's say they want, they don't like their smile. And you're gonna make a treatment plan. And the treatment plan in total is 10,000 euro. If you cannot communicate, if you cannot tell them a story which they want to be a part of, if you cannot create a perceived value higher than 10,000 euro, you will not sell the treatment plan. They will not accept the treatment plan. So the true value is 10,000 euro. And if you can make the perceived value, if you can communicate effectively for them to see the perceived value higher than the 10,000 euro that it costs, then they're gonna convert. And the way of doing this is, there's a lot of ways of doing this, and you have to see for yourself. I am sure everybody who's watching this webinar right now is very good in communicating with your patients. If you know how to communicate your treatment plan, how to sell your treatment plan, then you've mastered the way of communicating the perceived value of the treatment plan. So like we said before, let's recap. If the true value is bigger than the perceived value, people will convert. Patients will accept. And it all starts with the patient. Like I said before, conversion is just a big expensive word for buying something. And the thing is, why is this important? The thing is, what we see as dentists, as professionals, what we see as important might not be just as important for them. When you make a treatment plan and you say, I think you need 10 veneers and 15 crowns because it's the best I can do for you, and it costs you 10,000 euro. All the patient, there's a big chance that all the patient is going to hear is 10,000 euros, a lot of veneers, and a lot of crown. Oh, don't forget the pain, blood, and tears. We think it's important for them, but that doesn't mean that they also see it as important for them. So we're not talking the same language. We're not speaking the same language here. It's a perspective. From our perspective, what we try to sell to the patient is important. From their perspective, what you're trying to sell them might not be as important. So don't forget ever that everything we see is a perspective and not the truth. And it's very important to also be able to look at things in the perspective of the patient. It sounds very, very easy, but everybody knows that it's hard for us as dentists to have a patient not accept your treatment plan while you know it's the most ethical, best treatment plan that you can make for them. So if you're not able to communicate it effectively, you will not have a treatment to do. And I really think, and I really want to implore everybody, if you take a minute to see it the other person's perspective and try to empathize with it and tailor your communication to it, it benefits everybody. The next thing I want to talk about, which is a hot topic nowadays, is branding. Everybody's doing branding nowadays. You see it a lot on Facebook. People are really building brands around their clinics, building brands around themselves. They're doing amazing stuff. We have amazing dentists. I respect a lot of them. I've met a lot of them, and each and every one of them are doing a great job in doing their thing and communicating that. So when we talk about branding, there's basically two types of branding that we have. But first of all, let's ask ourselves what branding actually is, right? And also, with just like marketing, branding has a lot of different definitions. So let's just ask ourselves first what branding is. It's a buzzword that everybody's talking about, but let's just grasp what it is. So what's branding? A lot of quotes on the internet, and I've selected a few that for me really touch base. Branding is the art of becoming knowable, likable, and trustable. Let that sink in. Branding is the art of becoming knowable for everybody, likable for everybody, trustable. People will not convert, people will not buy, people will not accept treatment plans if they don't know you're there, they don't like you, or they don't trust you. Your brand is your promise to the consumer, the customer, or the patient. So your brand is what you promise to deliver. That can be great dentistry, great fillings, great veneers, great restorative, great surgery, but it's also the way your clinic is interacting or your staff is interacting with your patient. It's also how aftercare is done. It's also with the receptionist. It's also your nurse. Your brand is not just your product. So to emphasize this, let's do a little experiment. This is done a lot. Let's look at a few brands and just see what comes to mind. Somebody else, Seth Godin, also said something very, very, very important before we head into the other section. A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over the other. Basically, it's just saying, why should I buy your stuff? Why should I go to your office? Why should I accept your treatment plan? And your brand has a big influence on that. So again, basically what you're saying is, why should I buy from you? Well, two types of branding. The corporate one, and let's just look at a few. McDonald's, they own the color red, right? There's just a few brands on the world that just own a color. McDonald's, red. Coca-Cola, also red. Livestrong, we can see it later, it owns yellow a little bit. So corporate branding is about color, logo, name, what is known about this company. So the funny thing is, if we talk about branding, I could ask you right now, who thinks they can make a burger better than McDonald's? Probably everybody, right? It's cool to hate on McDonald's. So when you ask this in a big room, everybody is raising their hand. But who is selling the most hamburgers daily, yearly, and forever? It's McDonald's. Why? Because of the company and because of their branding. Size. Everybody knows size. If you see it, you know what it means. It's quality. It's photography. It's lenses. It's microscopes. It's loops. Right? You see a logo, and you immediately know what it stands for, what the values are, what the quality is. Tesla. This is a nice one. Every time I interact with the brand Tesla, I feel rebellion, innovation. It stands for technology. This is the first feeling and the first thing that comes to mind is what 9 out of 10 times is what the brand stands for. Another one, Apple. Either you love it or you hate it. Once you see the logo, you get a certain feeling with the brand. Virgin, when I see this, I think, Richard Branson, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Railways. He's a rebel. It's a fun brand. Virgin Cola. Screw it, let's do it. All the fun stuff. It's a fun brand. This is my association with the corporate brand. And just ask yourself what the association with your brand should be. When you get a logo, when everybody has a logo for their clinic, and when people see this logo, what do you want them to feel? What do you want them to think? And what do you want them to remember from your brand? Livestrong, another one. And this one is good to show that the brand is also connected with the people that work in it or work for the brand. Everybody knows what happened to Armstrong. He fell from grace, the whole doping thing, and it impacted Livestrong in a significant way. And the second type of branding that we see now a lot is the personal brand. Just go on Facebook, scroll through your Facebook feed, and you'll see a lot of us working on their personal brand. And the personal brand, and it doesn't mean that you have to do it. It's just if you want to do it. If you want to be known as an expert on something, if you want to be known to give courses on something, to be an authority or an influencer on something, then it's very good to start thinking about your own brand. That's called a personal brand. And let's just look at one or two or three personal brands that have made it big. And it'll settle in with you what the scope is of the brand, how big it can be. So I've chosen, I think, 3 of them to illustrate what a personal brand is. First one, Oprah. Everybody loves Oprah, and everybody knows how powerful she is and how big of an impact she made for women and talk shows. I just heard that I think last year that Oprah made $70 million in one day. Like, how was your Monday, right? Well, I did a little bit of fillings. I did 2 veneers and a crown. And you? Yeah, well, I made 70 million. It's unbelievable. Another big personal brand. It's like Gary Vaynerchuk. This is one of my favorites because this guy actually started in 2002 or 2003, I think. He started working in his father's winery, his father's liquor store. And then on a certain day, he decided to go on a little platform called YouTube and just drink wine. And while drinking wine with the camera on, he started talking about the wine, and he started to educate people on how to drink wine, how to taste wine, and what they taste like. And then he became one of the big YouTube community members and content creators. And nowadays he's operating VaynerMedia, which is a multi-million-dollar company in digital marketing. Coming from just working at a liquor store, having a knack for marketing, doing the right things in the digital landscape, into being the CEO of a big marketing company nowadays. Pretty amazing. Another one, Conor McGregor. Either you love him or you hate him, but you cannot deny that this guy has built a personal brand so big that in 3 years he went from a normal Ultimate Fighting Championships fighter up until last year one of the best paid athletes of all time, with his own media company right now, McGregor Sports and Entertainment. This is one of the biggest evolutions I've seen of personal brands in the last few years. It's very fascinating if you're into this stuff to see how it goes in timeline-wise. And we encounter for about 3,500 brands on a daily basis. 3,500. Can you imagine? At first, when I read this number, I was like, well, no way that this can be 3,500 in a day. But when you think about it, just think about it. I wake up to my alarm clock, which is my iPhone. I step off my bed, which has a brand. I walk through my house, go to the bathroom. I grab my toothbrush. It's might be Oral-B. Then I get the toothbrush and I put some toothpaste on, which is another brand. I go to the shower. I grab some shampoo. Another brand. Before I leave the house, I've encountered 20, 30 brands of milk, coffee, toothpaste, hair gel, bed, towel. And I'm not even talking about getting in my car driving to my work. So you can imagine that 3,500 brands is a pretty realistic number. So my question to you is, when we encounter 3,500 brands on a daily basis, why should someone remember your brand? And why should they care? If there are 30 offices, dental offices in your city, why should somebody care about your office, your brand, over someone else's? What are you offering that's different than the competition? And I've heard it all, you probably heard it all, everything on the websites, like, we are a state-of-the-art office. We care for our patients. We work with the latest technology. We innovate. And we like to do the best dentistry we can offer. Well, if that's on your website, or if that's your mission, or if that's on your social media, then congratulations. You're offering exactly what the competition is probably offering and saying. And I truly believe, that each and every one of us, with our clinics, with our brands, have something unique to offer. So please don't communicate what makes you special in a generic way, but find your way to communicate it effectively. Tell your story, either with images, with videos. Tell your story. And define your values. So what is important in your office? What are the core values in your office? What are the core values of you as a person? And what are the core values of you as a team? That doesn't mean that you have to think of something original. It might be empathy. It might be innovation. It might be doing things in a technical way, the best way you can. It doesn't have to be something that somebody doesn't do. It doesn't have to be original. It just has to be authentic. And if you really define your authentic values, you can transmit them to your patients, to your clients, through your brand. And if you really believe in them, if you really live it, really, really ooze your values, it will transmit on an energy level. And your patients will feel it. And this is something that they're going to say, it just feels right. It just feels right at this clinic. It feels good. And when people have that kind of connection with you or your clinic or your staff, that's the best marketing you can get, because it transmits. And those patients will become referrals. And that's, I can tell you right now, referrals are still the most effective way of marketing. And like I said before, one of the buzzwords of the last 2-3 years is storytelling. And it's effective, and it's something that we have known for thousands of years already. Because if you come to think about it, storytelling hasn't originated 10 years ago. It's something that originated thousands of years ago. And storytelling, it's the art of weaving your business's message into a story or a narrative. You can always convey your brand's history and mission through storytelling. Rather than a hard sell, you can paint a picture or tell a story that engages your audience and makes them remember you. There it is again, to remember you. Not just to make a transaction and leave, but really remember what you did and what you sold and what you told them. And it started with Aristotle. It's 1,000 years old. He came up with something It's called the 3-act structure. And it's the basis of every story that we know today. Every single one of them. And it's a big concept, but if you think of every movie you saw, every book that you read, every story that you were told, every story that you tell, it's built in a very distinct, simple way. The 3-act structure. Act 1, the setup. Act 2, the confrontation. Act 3, the resolution. And if you think about it, every good story has 3 acts. Think of Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, an ordinary boy, discovers that he has that's the intro, by the way. Discovers that he has a special power, gets trained in it. 2nd act. 3rd act, he fights the Empire and destroys them. The same thing for the Matrix, Neo. Ordinary dude, discovers a special ability, saves the world from the machines. Same with Harry Potter. Same with Finding Nemo. If you really come to think about it, every good story is divided in the 3 acts. And every hero's journey is divided into 3 acts. And it's not, don't believe it from me, but the scientific research has shown that if you tell a story in the right way, really tell a story in a good way, at the end of the story, the listener, the audience, gets a release of dopamine. Dopamine, everybody knows, it's addictive. And that's why storytelling and watching movies or reading books just connects with human beings. It's just how we are hardwired. And if we take this concept, the 3-act structure, and we transport it into dentistry, then we can do it, and then we can apply it like this. This is something I got inspired by from going to a lecture by Florin Covar from Denkov in Romania. The first time I saw this, I heard of this, saw him actually present this, I had to think of the 3-act structure, and I just applied it in a different way, and this is based on what he told me. In our treatments, you can also divide it in 3 acts of the 3-act structure. The planning phase, the case acceptance phase, and the treatment execution. And the most important one, the longest one maybe even, and the one you spend a lot of time and effort on, should be the case acceptance phase. Because without people accepting a case, how good your treatment plan is, you won't have a treatment plan to execute. And if we apply that 3-act structure in how we applied it in our office with Smile Design, and I know you have Christian Coachman on this edition, I believe. So he's going to talk about Smile Design, or he has talked about Smile Design. I'm not going to say a lot about it. I'm going to show you some stuff later. But what I got inspired by when I saw this from Florin Covar was this. We divide our structure into more or less 3, 4, 5-act structure, if you look at this. It starts with the first one. The first visit, where we document the patient. After the documentation, we plan, and when we plan and we have the designs, we get people to come back for the second phase for them, the mock-up. We do the mock-up and the momentum is high. We show them what their new smile can be. We convert. Then we do the treatment. And after we do the treatment, we let everything heal. and we document and finalize a case. And this way we can put dental treatments in also a little bit of a 3-act structure with a lot of contrast in it, and try to build up the momentum by getting patients into our photo video studio, by motivating them, by letting them experience what the new smile is going to be about, what it is, by talking, by having fun with our patients, by creating an atmosphere that doesn't feel like a dental office. Again, it's that experience, remember? So one of the core values that I hold dearly for myself personally, and that I hold dearly in my office, is to always try new things. To not let us be narrow-minded, but be open to innovation, to be open to new experiences, and to try new stuff. And it's made us playful in the office. And our patients always know that if you try something new, there's a chance it won't work. There's a chance they have to come back for something. There's a chance we have to redo something. But we always ensure them that they're always getting the best care that we can provide. And with this, with always going forward, we've taken the path of digital dentistry. And this is something we haven't been done for a year. This is not something we've been done for 8 months. We've been doing this now for 5 months. And I want to take you with me in this journey of how we did this, to see that if you really want to do something, it's possible. And in the end, delivering a great product, delivering great care, is the best marketing that you can do, while minimizing the invasiveness for your patients. And as in one of my favorite movies ever, Interstellar, the protagonist Coop says, "We've always defined ourselves by the ability to overcome the impossible." I've always wanted to try the stuff that was seen to be impossible. And even when I started with this whole aesthetic dentistry, when I started to go really into the territorium of smile design, a lot of people were skeptics. And now 3 years later, we've proven them wrong. So if you think that something is not for you, not possible, or it takes a lot of work or too much money, just start by taking the first step, and you'll see the rest will follow along the way. And when you talk about digital dentistry, you're going to the zone of the computers. And when we're talking about computers and we're talking about digital encoding, there's this phenomenon, it's called a syntax. And a syntax is the rules governing the behavior of the mathematical systems around it. So basically it's a line of code. And the line of written code defines what happens next. So basically it's a protocol. So we had to establish a protocol with who are the people we are going to work with, what are the steps we're going to make. We were writing our own syntax and finding our own team members. And with digital dentistry, I just realized that we had the opportunity to work with other people, not bound in space and time. So we could work internationally, and we could work with the people we want to work, the best people we know in our network. And this became actually the unique selling point that we use to market our digital dentistry with. So we decided to use the internet as a tool to have different people from different places around the world to use our common knowledge, our collateral knowledge on one case for the patient to benefit from. And the operators The parties that were involved were the following ones. We decided to work with where we learned the digital dentistry from Dentkov. So we worked with the digital technician, Leno Bolka. Me as the doctor and my technician, physically here in Holland. His name's Hugo from Extend Laboratories. And we all focused our knowledge and our expertise on this one treatment. So I made a protocol which looks like this. I won't spend a lot of time explaining it because it's very specific for the digital workflow. That's for another lecture, for another opportunity of speaking about it. Let's go on with the case. So when the patient comes in, we collect all the data. We document, like I said before. We do the videos, the photo protocol, the STLs, the scan, and we just do the consultation with what the patient actually wants. We compile all this data, then we use Dropbox to make it centralized so that people who, the operators can all access, and we use actually Facebook Messenger to communicate directly. And we've seen that once your information does not align well, it becomes disinformation, and with disinformation comes desintegration. And we've seen on several occasions that when we don't communicate well, the system just disintegrates. So my point with this being that communication is always key. Whether it's communication with your technicians, communication with your patient, communication with other parties in different countries, if you have your information aligned, you have everything in place. So I just want to show you a case very quickly on how we did the digital dentistry, how we actually leveraged it to become something that was unique for our office in our region to offer a new benefit for our patients. So, like I said before, we make our photo and we make our videos. This is the case. He came in and we just made our first initial diagnostics and consultation with these images. Then after that, we compile everything into the keynote, and we send this keynote to Romania on Dropbox. And over there, the digital technician Lenu is gonna work on it and make a digital design that she sends to us. She sends us the STL file that we can print. We print it in our own office with our own printer. The Formlabs 2, I'm sure somebody else on digital dentistry told this before. Then we prepare the model to do the mock-up. So we make our stents, we make our indexes, and we just prepare to do the mock-up with the patient, as you can see. Now, well, once we did the preparations, we do the physical mock-up, and we show the patient before and after. At this point, once the patient sees it, basically they're sold. And the treatment plan just sells itself. In actually all the cases, patients have never experienced this before. They've never seen it before. And they've never had the opportunity to experience what their new smile is going to be like, what their new self is going to be like. And after they've seen this, we discuss with them the treatments, the financials, all the dirty stuff that patients rather not know actually from dentistry. First we motivate them, then we have to talk about the necessary stuff that we have to do. At this point, normally they accept the treatment. Then we just start planning and we bring them in. For this particular case, We brought in a surgeon, a good friend of mine, who did the gingivectomy. We recorded everything. We had a camera there, a film crew. We did the surgery. We did the scans. And then in Romania, they did the final design and sent it back to us. We send it to the milling machine, to our milling partner, and they provide us with the definitive restoration. We do our try-in. It was a little bit of a challenge because of the dark substrate, but I think we managed pretty well. So at this point, after finishing the case, we document again, and now we have this case that we can show to other cases again. So basically what we told our patient was, we have this great product, we have this great protocol, it's digital, and we're gonna do it with you. And we are gonna give you a new smile, and we're not gonna use a technician who makes new shapes. We're gonna use shapes from nature, basically. We're gonna use natural shapes with natural textures, and we're gonna make this. We're gonna do this in a new smile that's gonna be just for you. And once the patient accepts, we do our protocol, and once we finish the protocol, we have a happy patient with a happy new smile, as you can see. And what happens is, this person just had such a great experience in the office. He had a great experience during the treatment, before the treatment, after the treatment, and acted as a referral for new cases. So basically what I want to say is, if we can all just grasp this new concept of the internet, of the digital highway, of using collateral knowledge, I hope that starting now, we can all combine our collateral knowledge and turn it into collateral beauty. To compile all our knowledge and to gather all our knowledge for the sake of our patients and for the sake of the field of dentistry in general. So if there's anything that I want to leave you with, if there's anything that I want to inspire you with, is to show you that the internet can be used for a lot of things in a lot of ways. And that I hope that marketing has a little bit of a broader sense for you now, that you can apply in your own office, apply for yourself, and use it in a good way to really have added value for your product, for your treatments, for your patients. I hope to see you all again and shake your hands in the near future. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to me rant for an hour about marketing and dentistry. I know that time is a valuable asset for all of us, and I know we all have a shortage of time. So for that, I want to thank you again for taking your time and spending it with us for the last hour. Thank you again.